Crazy storm coming in right now. Check out the sky. It's been blowing in from this direction. You can see over here it's like all white. And this new construction they're building over here is getting fucking shook up. Rainy season is officially here, guys. For those of you who have never lived in the tropics or in a developing country, this is a tropical storm. If it starts to pour, which I think it's likely it will, the streets will become ridiculously flooded. The traffic's already pretty crazy today. We were looking out the window and there was like gridlock on our street for some reason and a guy trying to move the traffic through. Oh shit, it's getting crazy. Check it out, guys, look at that. They got this whole thing draped and it's blowing in the wind. Right now my roof is closed because for, those of you who follow me know, and those of you who are just finding us don't know, my sauna exploded like, God, not even a week after I moved in, so I barely even got to enjoy it. The whole roof's been closed. Now they're talking about it's gonna be closed for a while, so we're fucking upset. But I think enough people will be upset and they'll come up with some kind of compromise. I'm not like too worried about it, but yeah, that was pretty whack. I really enjoyed that thing. But it is Cambodia, and these things can happen. Luckily, there was a great response from the fire department because we are right in the city center. It didn't do any damage to anyone's homes, or no one died or anything, but it fucked up the whole gym, unfortunately. So now we haven't been able to go up on the roof. So I've been taking in my views over here. Man, from the roof, this must look insane. Here it is, guys. Here's the rains. Here it is. It's like garbage fucking flying around everywhere. How beautiful is Phnom Penh though, guys? Come on, look at this city. This is, to me, one of the most beautiful cities in Southeast Asia. I remember I used to live in the Bridge. That's a really tall building out here. I was on like, man, I'm not going to tell you guys the exact floor, but let's just say I was above the 40th floor. And I used to see the fucking clouds coming in from like the other side of town. Now I'm around the 15th. I'm not going to tell you which one, but around there. So it gives you an idea kind of the difference in perspective. If you look at some of my old videos versus some of the ones now. I quite like this perspective. We're in a much better location though than the Bridge. We're facing to Tultumpang and the Russian market. So we're in like a very trendy, popular area. As you can see, they're doing construction here and they're building more high rises because this area is very, very hot. We're right between BKK2 and the Russian market. So we're in prime Phnom Penh real estate. Phnom Penh is a city, guys, that actually has some very, very cool, fashionable little neighborhoods. It's, to me, I think like TTP in that area wipes its ass with Tao Dien in Vietnam. I think it's way nicer here. Generally speaking, I enjoy Phnom Penh much, much more than Saigon. I don't know, comparing it to Bangkok is tough because Bangkok has the metro system, but I don't know. It's just, this is one of my favorite capital cities in Asia, guys. The visas are relatively straightforward. The business climate is pretty open. You can get set up out here inexpensively. There is some teaching work. The pay is not fantastic, but it would be enough to kind of get you a runway till you could get like a business going or a different idea. I think Phnom Penh is really probably a lot better for an entrepreneur than Bangkok or Saigon, but at the same time, maybe not as good for an employee. Whereas in Vietnam, you can make quite a lot of money working as an employee. out here, teaching is an option for you, but I would still probably urge most people who are looking at Phnom Penh as a serious destination to kind of focus on it in more of an entrepreneurial sense. Like, this is a good place to come and open your dream business. Like, if you've wanted to always have a guest house or a vegan restaurant or like a yoga something place, like, this is where you want to do it, right? This is the most business friendly place in Southeast Asia, in my opinion, aside from like Singapore if you have the capital, or Malaysia again if you have capital. They're very business friendly as well, but this allows people, I think, at kind of the lower end of the market to get some access to Southeast Asia. And it's getting harder and harder, guys. Like, I'm going to give you guys a little information that you may not know online yet, but you're going to start to hear it over the next couple days. You'll see it popping up in groups, possibly really over the next couple months. Maybe days is a bit soon. But they're going to start cracking down on the people who are doing the cross-border border runs in Vietnam, because you have to do a 30-day border run in order to stay on a tourist visa in Vietnam. Every 30 days you need to cross the border. Some people who are going from Da Nang or the north, they'll go through Laos, and people who are coming from the south will generally go through Cambodia. Now, Cambodia is also having an election, guys, so there's a little bit of drama going on this side as well. I'm telling you guys, the days of just being a fuckwit tourist, backpacker, and living out here forever, I really, really think this is coming to an end. And, for the people who, like myself, took advantage of the opportunity when it was very free and open, and we established ourselves, we're in a really good spot. I mean, for people who are thinking of coming out here now, there's still a tremendous amount of opportunity. It's still relatively easy to get in and out of these countries. If you have a little bit of capital, you can facilitate in any country in Southeast Asia. But what makes Cambodia so unique compared to some of the other ones is just how it's not so expensive yet. It's quite a bit like Vietnam pre-pandemic. The climate for business is very open. The local people are very used to living with foreigners. It's not like so alien for them to see foreign businesses. People in Cambodia are very open-minded generally. That's been my impression compared to other parts of Southeast Asia. Now, with Vietnam, obviously the south of Vietnam is very open mentality towards business. But, the country itself, it has some challenges. It's going through a lot of corruption investigations at the moment, which is bringing everything to a standstill. So it's really, it's time to start picking one of these spots and setting your flag if you're going to come to Southeast Asia, because, it's not going to be too many more years. Oh, look, that's my curtain, guys. That's how much breeze there is today. But yeah, there's not gonna be too many more years where you're just gonna be able to come out here and like fuck around and just work, in the gray area, and like, because look, even Cambodia is now making you get a work permit to get a year visa. Now you just buy it. It's not really a problem. You could be self-employed, so it's not really the end of the world. We can help you with this. But like, basically, you are starting to need these things that like historically nobody ever gave a shit about, right? And like that, you seeing this in Vietnam, it's becoming more and more closed. And for those of you guys who don't realize what just happened, like some of you might not be following the situation in Vietnam so closely, but there was a shooting in Vietnam, and it had to do with Hill Tribe people and attacking police and government officials, and they believe that the threat was from overseas. At least that's what they're telling us publicly. So issues around immigration and things like this are going to come to a halt in Vietnam. People, it's funny because people online tell people that they should go and like, oh, you should go to immigration and deal with a blacklist yourself and blah, blah, blah. And like, honestly, guys, there's so many of these like people on some Facebook groups that think that they have all the answers to Vietnam, and they have their finger to the pulse. And I can tell you right now, that like if you're trying to get anything done, if you're in a blacklist, if you're in a situation where you overstayed by like a lot and you need to get out of the country, like this is not something that's going to be very easy for you to work out by yourself, because the Vietnamese won't even talk to you. Like, you'll go to the embassy and maybe somebody will talk to you. If it's not a big overstay, you might have some hope of just, being okay. But if you're in like real trouble where you're overstaying for months, it's not going to be like it was years ago. You're going to need help. You're going to need Vietnamese people who can talk to them and get a price. You're going to need, it's becoming a different game out here, guys. these countries are developing, you know, like it's not the way it was years ago where you could just, you know, oh, you're on a blacklist and you just shoot them a G and now you're off the blacklist. Now it's depending on how the situation goes, it could be a real fucking problem. Like, you know, Cambodia is still, in my opinion, the most open. Vietnam, like I said, has become quite stringent. And the dollar amounts that they're asking for, these aren't a joke anymore. This is starting to become a lot of money. Hey, Gary, I totally agree with you, Gary. And I think, like, you know, for those who got in early, you know, good for you for having the foresight, you know. But I absolutely agree. I mean, why not? Why do they need to have people who are just skating by on tourist visas? It's, you know, these countries are trying to develop. They want people who are going to bring in capital. But then the other side of that, Gary, is that some of these countries do everything possible in their power to shoot themselves in the foot. So even when they do get people who have capital, they make the processes so bureaucratic and so crazy and difficult that it becomes like unattractive, you know? One of the advantages of Cambodia is that it's very business friendly and it's very straightforward and you can still pay to play. But Vietnam, you know, they say they want to attract a higher end clientele. They want to have expats that are in the country, you know, that are quality, that are spending money for investments or spending money around the country. But then they make the process so complicated and bureaucratic and non-transparent, you know, and in a way it's good because that's my niche, you know, I help people navigate that. But, you know, in some other ways, it's quite negative. It can cause a lot of problems, you know. You know, make investors not confident. Let's see, what is the climate of people of color? That depends where you're from. So one of the guys asked, what is the climate for people of color? If you're black or Hispanic or whatever, you know, or you know, South Asian or whatever, Sub-Saharan African, Arab, and you're from America, Britain, or Canada, you're probably going to be fine. If you're coming from like Sub-Saharan Africa and you're poor, I mean, you know, it's a dangerous game. Like people who come out to teach, you hear stories in Vietnam about them getting their passports taken, you know, having problems out in the provinces, but these are the only places that will hire these people. Now the problem will be even getting you approved for a work permit. So like, it's getting to a point where it's difficult to even get work permits done for people who have like legit employment, native speakers for jobs, you know, and in like Saigon even at the moment, it's the bureaucratic process is taking so long that even people who have every document they're supposed to have, you know, they're really having to like wait months. And then people who get in trouble, I mean, forget about it. One guy we're dealing with, I don't think he realizes the situation he's in, but he, you know, he's telling us how like, oh, we just try to do it ourselves. And we're dropping off, we're hoping to hear back from them about the paperwork from immigration. And it's been 5 weeks. And the process is not supposed to take 5 weeks. And I know this for a fact because we helped a woman who overstayed by more than 2 years with this situation. And if everything's legit, you know, the process should only take a couple weeks. For her, what she did when she initially did it herself, she ended up having to wait 6 months and then they sent her an expired exit visa. So she ended up overstaying an additional 6 months, and then the visa that she was given still didn't even get her out of the country. And so we're talking about Vietnam again, but you know, so if you don't have a strong passport, you need to fucking be careful out here because, you know, this is the Wild West, man, you know, and in a lot of ways, well, really it's the Wild East, but like in a lot of respects, like, you know, they don't give a fuck about wokeness or inclusivity, you know, like, you know, these are mostly monocultures, generally nationalistic, you know, authoritarian governments in most cases, you know. As far as like, you know, inclusiveness and tolerance, it's not really high on the totem pole. But if you're not white and you have a passport from a strong country, you'll be fine. It's just you don't want to come out here with like a Nigerian passport and then go work in some province and then your boss doesn't want to fucking pay you. And when you complain, you know, they know the police, you know, it's like they know everybody in the town because in provinces, it's like little villages. Everybody knows everybody. They're cousins and shit, you know, and half the time you can have a real problem out there. And if your country's not one of those countries that carries a lot of clout, you know, it's very easy to get trafficked here or taken advantage of here. But if you have your shit together and you're from, like, you know, Africa or the Middle East, you can have a go at it. It's just going to be really hard to get you the fucking work permit right now. It might be really hard to even get you a tourist visa. Yeah, those people get you the letters and shit, you know. And, you know, just be careful. Don't fuck around. Don't overstay your visa. You know, this isn't 10 years ago. They will fuck you up now. But as far as Cambodia, that is more relaxed. I think in Cambodia, you probably have a better chance of getting a visa, potentially finding a job. The problem is that the market's saturated, so even native speakers make fuck all. It's relatively cheap to live in Cambodia, but it's not that cheap. It is, you know, depends where you live. Like, for example, here in Phnom Penh, you can have a good life. It's up to you. I mean, you know, if you want to live a wild life, or you can scrape by, you know. And most of the teachers here, you know, they're having an okay life, but they're not saving a ton of money and really getting anywhere. And as for South Africans, man, like, it's not really a popular passport, but it can get you jobs if you're white. If you're not white, you can get jobs, but it's going to be really hard, you know. If you're not white, they're not going to really want to give you the time of day, to be honest. Cambodia, again, you might have a better chance here. I don't teach. I do business out here. So, you know, when I was teaching English, and I was in Vietnam, and Vietnam's where you can make money. If you want to do it as a digital nomad, that's totally different. You're not going to have any problems, bro. As long as you have the dough. You know, you're going to have a hard time a bit with the visa. For Vietnam, it's going to be a bitch. But if you have enough capital, I can sort it out for you. If you want to come to Cambodia, we have contacts out here that can get you visas, help you get the work permit, set up companies. But again, you know, it's going to take a little bit of capital, you know. So if you're a digital nomad and you already have an overseas income, you're good, man. If you don't need to be employed locally, then race and things like that are not going to come into play as much. What's going to be more relevant is your nationality. But South African, even though it's not a popular passport, it's not the worst passport. I mean, if you have capital and you have a South African passport, you're going to be okay if you want to get a visa in one of these countries. It's just going to depend how much capital you have. Like in Vietnam, we need to set up a company for you. We would need to basically, and it's not like we can set up a shell company. We actually have to get companies that pay taxes. We have to present a case that immigration is going to approve. So that's something that, like, you know, has changed a lot over the years. If you have enough capital to do a process like that, then Vietnam's a good option. If you don't have enough capital, then Cambodia is a little bit better option because you can end up, you know, just getting the work permit. Everything's pay to play. We got contacts for real estate. We got contacts for visas, work permits, no documentation. So I know people who can pretty much facilitate anything in this country. It's, you know, whether you want to invest, own property, whatever it is, right? Even we have contacts for teaching employment here. But it's going to be a lot different than Vietnam in terms of market size. You know, obviously Vietnam is more developed. It's got, you know, the beaches. Thailand is more developed than all of them. And then I would put Cambodia for me as a sweet spot because I quite like Cambodia. It's not too big. It's very business friendly. The people are good and they're more open-minded than other countries in Southeast Asia. Again, you're not going to have problems with race, bro. You know, if you have money, because that's the only color that matters, my friend. You know, they love the U.S. dollar out here. So let me tell you, if you have some of those, you know you're gonna have no trouble. But you know, the reality is, bro, like if you come to any of these countries, it just depends. If you want to go to Thailand where there's infrastructure and you're gonna have fucking metro system and $5 Thai massage and, you know, fucking space age shopping malls, well then, you know, you gotta have to break bread, you know, and you gotta be careful because the Thais are very nationalistic and the policies can change very rapidly. And, like, you know, it can become very hostile to foreigners in terms of business very quickly. Whereas Cambodia, the reason I like it is that it's been very consistent for a pretty long time. And, like, they are starting to have their, you know, their requirements. They're wanting people to get work permits and this stuff now. But I think in many ways, this is still much more opportunity, bro. And whether you're, you know, and I say this is useful information for anybody who sees this video, regardless, you know. if you're not white, don't let people scare you off about coming out here. It's fine. Some people are definitely racist. Not everybody is racist. But in terms of hiring and employment around teaching and things like that, it can be very racist. And, you know, again, if you don't have a strong passport, it kind of compounds the problem. If you do have a strong passport, then things are more flexible, obviously, because the power that a US or a British or Australian passport, you know, holds is going to supersede whatever prejudices that exist amongst, you know, people in individual societies. But here in Cambodia, in my opinion, it's, I'd say, one of the more open and tolerant. You see people here from South Africa. You see people here from, I have a friend from Ethiopia. I eat at his Ethiopian restaurant. He makes fucking delicious food. But again, you know, the days of just coming out here broke and hoping for the best, that's really starting to disappear. And you can see by the level of development that we're looking at here that it's not like that now, you know. I'm semi-retired 3 years ago as a teacher in uni. I'm comfortable to pick up and choose to work or not. I have my own work permit, have done it, and worked since I could. Nice, Gary. That's awesome. I was a teacher too, man. And then I had these HR contacts, and I was able to leverage that to help people during the pandemic. And that slowly but surely taught me about the visa business and the consulting business. And I went from just helping people find teaching jobs to opening up companies and, you know, basically helping people get into Vietnam during the most complicated time in Vietnam's history, in recent history. Like, obviously, I'd say probably since the end of the war and the conflict period. You know, what went down during COVID was completely crazy. You know, like completely crazy. Like, since the country opened up, I would probably mark that as like one of the more pivotal historical events, especially what took place in Saigon towards the end of the pandemic. And because I was there and I was able to leverage the relationships I had and I was able to assist people, I built a really good reputation. But I always stayed true to teaching, you know, because even though I never really wanted to teach and I never really enjoyed it, teaching was such a great hustle. It's something you can always pull out of your pocket and do, you know. So I continued to keep those HR contacts, and rather than just focus my business completely on, you know, working in like consulting like companies or investment or real estate, I decided to keep that teaching as kind of close to my heart, you know. Hey, if you guys are in the room, please smash the like button, share the videos, help us fight the algorithm. This is rainy season is officially here in Phnom Penh. We've been talking a little bit about what's been going on in Vietnam, Cambodia. We've been editing some of our trip from Laos, and my God, I love Laos. I made great business relationships in Laos. And what a cool place, what an authentic, cool place. Also, we're putting together contacts for Malaysia. We're expanding the service as much as possible. We're starting to even look at other markets in Eastern Europe. My real ambition is to get back towards Eastern Europe, but there was a lot of things I had to do since the end of the pandemic in Asia just to kind of set things in place so I'm a little bit more mobile. I actually do hope to get to Africa myself at some point. I'm very interested in Uganda, in a city called Kigali. They're talking about becoming the Singapore of Africa, and that interests me a lot, especially that language. I have some interest, obviously, in the Caucasus, the Balkans, and I do actually have strong contacts in Central Asia. I just have not yet visited to make the content to match. But I do have contacts in Mongolia, Central Asia. Pension visa are also a problem, and how you want to work. You know, oh yeah, so I'm just checking the comments, guys, to see if it's for me or you guys are speaking amongst yourselves. But yeah, so I kind of was self-made. Me and my wife, like, we do all the content ourselves. We did everything from the beginning. Just kind of, at first it was me shooting on my phone, talking about teaching English. And then eventually they took down that channel. You know, I was woke policed. And now I'm starting over and I'm behaving myself more, and I'm trying to still speak plainly and not, you know, BS people and not be unauthentic, but also kind of not be as off the hook and wild as I was, so I don't keep getting kicked off of the internet. So if you guys like the content, please smash the like button. I do myself my best to behave myself, but to still give like honest assessments and try to like not, you know, be fake or you know, over glamorize a place, which I think unfortunately happens a lot online. And what we kind of do is we merge the consulting with the travel blogging and kind of show people like a combination of like not just like, you know, what's possible here, but a little bit of the entertainment of it, and like how we get into, you know, things that we learn and we pick up over the time we've been here. So if you guys find this valuable and you enjoy it, please smash the like button. If you're in Phnom Penh, stay dry. My sauna exploded, otherwise that's where I would be right now. I was only in this fucking building for 3 days and my sauna caught on fire and the whole roof of the building fucking covered in soot. It's unbelievable. But you know what? Last time I was here, I saw 3 giant fires from my balcony on the bridge. One of them burned for like an hour, so we were much luckier than that. But we were also in the city center, so it's, you know, our response time was a lot better. We watched a fire burn on the other side of the river for like a fucking hour, man. It engulfed like a whole local neighborhood. It was insane. I actually think I have shorts of it, but I make so many shorts. It's got to be one of the first ones from when I first started like doing Phnom Penh shorts the last time I was out here. Actually, you know, this has always been my go-to place. I like Phnom Penh. It's like, you know, but you got to be a certain kind of person to like Phnom Penh, because it's a beautiful city, but it is fucked up. Like, you got cracked out foreigners smoking meth, and like there is a lot of poverty, and like it is underdeveloped, and there is a lot of challenges. But like, as you can see, like, you know, there is a level of prosperity that is beginning to take shape here that was not here before. The first time I came out here, a lot of the roads here weren't even paved I mean, not in this area, but in like parts of the city. And now you can go pretty far out and most of the roads are fairly paved, and, you know, the city is starting to get all these tall buildings, and, you know, they're working on Hun Sen Boulevard, which is going to be the first highway in Phnom Penh. So even the roads between like here and Battambang, I've seen like a really big improvement. Wow, that's crazy. But my man said he watches the planes fly in. Yeah, it was really nutty up there, man. I was looking at planes and shit too. But fucking, it's where I'm at now is, I don't know, this is more low key. I don't know how to explain it. I like BKK2 and BKK3. It's got like a good buzz, you know, like it's got like expats, but not like scumbags, you know, like not like fucking methed out, like sex tourists, like fucking like bleeding out of their foreheads like you see in the Riverside, you know. It's like more like people who are working for NGOs or for like, you know, teaching in like language training centers or in schools out here, like expats with jobs, you know. And there's a lot of nice restaurants and the vibe is just more chill. And I lived in Saigon for 5 years, so for me this is like a fucking village. It's like so quiet and peaceful, and it's a big city, so I have all the amenities, but it's still like peaceful, quiet, chill. You know what I mean? Like the people are friendly, it's laid back. It's certainly not as industrious as Vietnam, but like if you have capital already and you have your money, then this is a good place to be. You know what I mean? Like, but I think if you're trying to get money out here, like you'd have to be very entrepreneurial. You know what I mean? Like, I think you have to be very, very entrepreneurial, because I don't think this is a place where you could just rock up and get like a TEFL teaching job and really like save a lot of money and still have a comfortable life. Like, I think you could do that, but you would have to really like live a not so comfortable life. Wow, man, you're in Jakarta for 14 years. That's awesome. It must have also been horrible, because I imagine that Jakarta is an overcrowded fucking mess. I've been out an expat for 10 years. Some of that was spent in developing countries, and then some of that was spent in developed countries. I lived in New Zealand for 3 years. I got residency in New Zealand, and my wife is an Australian citizen and a US citizen, and we lived in Australia for a while too. And then the rest were split between... Whoa, you guys saw that? Holy shit. That was crazy. So yeah, no, so I got residency in New Zealand, and then I lived in New Zealand, Aussie, and in Southeast Asia, you know, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia, places like that. I've been to Indonesia, but I certainly don't have the frame of reference that you do. You lived there for quite a long time. That must be an amazing story, Gary. I'd love to hear it sometime. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. This was my little live stream. This is rainy season Phnom Penh. If you're thinking about coming to Southeast Asia, hit us up on the Facebook fan page. All our contact details are in the description below. Just do us a favor. Don't waste our time. We're not going to waste yours. You know, we're not looking to deal with broke backpackers. Like, if you have dough and you're looking to do something out here and you want to make sure you work with good people, honest, reliable people, you know, we have contacts on the ground and we can help you guys. If you want teaching jobs, we can facilitate. And if you guys really like the videos, then we really appreciate it, because we're not fully PC and politically correct and woke, so they don't show our fucking videos to anybody. And I curse like a sailor. So, you know, your likes and shares and posting the videos on your wall, things like that, it really helps us, guys. And I just want to say thank you. If you guys are thinking about coming to Southeast Asia and you need health insurance, our link for our safety wing is inside the description. We'll get a small percentage if you end up doing a temporary health insurance policy with them, so you can figure yourself out overseas. And if you're thinking about coming overseas and doing any kind of business, get at us. If it's not a country that's mentioned on our YouTube or on our Facebook or in any of our advertising, please don't hesitate to ask, because we have contacts all over the world and we can facilitate things in places that even we're not advertising. You just might need to inquire. So please don't hesitate to ask if there's like a destination that you're particularly interested in and you want to see if we have any contacts. We can definitely look into it for you. And we probably might even have an established situation already. So get at us. Thank you for watching. Likes, comments, share. Love you guys. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And everybody stay dry. Brush your teeth. Funny, I did a live stream.